Stop right now and answer honestly. Have you ever felt that unsettling sensation that something inside you knew a truth that everyone around you seemed to ignore? That inner voice whispering warnings about a seemingly friendly person? Or noticing patterns of behavior that no one else perceived? The cold sweat on the back of your neck when someone smiles, but their eyes communicate something completely different. Have you ever experienced waking up in the middle of the night, heart racing, after a dream that seemed to contain a coded message just for you? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then you have already experienced what Sigmund Freud discovered to be the manifestation of your unconscious trying to communicate with you. That part of your mind that sees beyond social masks, that perceives what is hidden between the lines, that captures signals invisible to others. This extraordinary ability you possess is not a curse, as you may have felt in moments of deep loneliness when your perceptions contradicted the consensus around you. It is, in fact, your greatest power. A power that most people have spent their entire lives suppressing, ignoring, and fearing. A power that, when understood and integrated, can completely transform your reality, your relationships, and your ability to navigate the world with uncommon clarity. Today I will reveal to you exactly what Freud discovered about your unique ability, why it causes so much discomfort in people around you, and how you can finally embrace this part of yourself to live a life free from the illusions and self-deceptions that keep most people trapped in invisible cycles of suffering. Society has trained us since childhood to ignore the signals our unconscious picks up. Be polite. Don't question authority. Trust appearances. Ignore that strange feeling. As a result, most people live completely disconnected from the deeper wisdom of their minds. They believe only in what they can see on the surface, in what is socially acceptable to recognize, in what does not disturb the established order. Freud was the first to understand that this disconnection was neither natural nor healthy. It was, in fact, the root of much human psychological suffering. He realized that our unconscious is constantly processing information that our conscious mind filters out or ignores. And this information can be crucial for our survival, our well-being, and our authenticity. Most people live their entire lives without ever accessing this deep knowledge, this seeing beyond that you, who are watching this video now, have probably already experienced. Perhaps you've been called too sensitive, paranoid, or complicated for expressing perceptions that contradicted what others wanted to believe. I promise you, the problem was never your ability to see more deeply, but rather the world's resistance to confronting what lies in the shadows. Today, I will share with you the secrets that will allow you not only to accept, but also to learn to use this extraordinary capacity to your advantage, transforming what may have been a source of isolation and doubt into your greatest resource for a full and conscious life. Leave the word perception in the comments if you've ever felt that you saw things that others preferred to ignore. And let's explore together the power of your unconscious. Number 1. The unconscious as your secret ally in decoding hidden reality. Think of that time when you met someone and, despite everything seeming perfectly normal on the surface, something inside you triggered an alert. Maybe it was the way the person smiled without the smile reaching their eyes, or a subtle contradiction between their words and their body language. Months later, when the true nature of this person was revealed to everyone, you thought, I knew from the beginning. What happened there wasn't a lucky guess or a coincidence. It was your unconscious working tirelessly to protect you, processing thousands of micro-expressions, speech patterns, behavioral inconsistencies, and other subtle signals that your conscious mind could never analyze so quickly. Freud discovered that our unconscious functions as an ultra-sensitive radar, capturing and interpreting information that is beyond the reach of our rational thinking. He revealed that, contrary to what was believed in his time, the unconscious was not a chaotic repository of primitive impulses, but a sophisticated and highly intelligent part of our mind, capable of performing complex analyses and reaching conclusions that often prove correct, even when we cannot rationally explain how we arrived at them. Imagine a young executive who had just been promoted to a coveted position in his company. Everyone congratulates him. His boss smiles and assures him he has big plans for him. But something inside him feels that something is wrong, an inexplicable sense of danger. He tries to ignore this feeling, considering it irrational, perhaps a product of imposter syndrome. Weeks later, he discovers he was placed in an impossible position, assigned to a project doomed to fail, prepared as a scapegoat for when everything collapsed. His unconscious had picked up imperceptible signals in interactions, the work environment, patterns of communication, which his conscious mind rationalized and dismissed. In your life, How many times have you ignored that inner voice trying to warn you, only to later discover it was right all along? The first step to accessing the power of your unconscious is to recognize its wisdom and begin to pay attention to these seemingly irrational signals. When you feel that strong intuition about someone or some situation, pause and ask yourself, what is my unconscious trying to tell me? Keep a journal of these perceptions and see over time how they often prove accurate. Leave in the comments a situation where your intuition was right, but you ignored the signs. Number 2. Defense mechanisms as barriers preventing you from seeing the truth. One of Freud's most revolutionary discoveries was identifying how our mind creates elaborate systems to protect us from painful or threatening truths. He called these systems defense mechanisms, and they function as filters that distort our perception of reality to keep us in our psychological comfort zone. Think about how often you've seen people close to you denying evident problems in their relationships, projecting their own flaws onto others, rationalizing clearly self-destructive behaviors, or repressing painful memories and feelings. These defense mechanisms are not flaws, but strategies of psychic survival that we develop throughout life. The problem is that while they temporarily protect us from pain, they also blind us to realities we need to face in order to grow and live authentically. Most people spend their entire lives trapped in a reality distorted by their own defense mechanisms, unable to see themselves and the world clearly. Have you caught yourself doing this? Justifying the behaviors of someone you love, even when those behaviors repeatedly hurt you? Or perhaps denying problems in your career, relationships, or health until they become crises impossible to ignore? Consider the case of a woman who remains in an abusive relationship for years, using rationalization to explain her partner's behavior. He only acts like this when he's stressed. He had a difficult childhood. Deep down, he loves me. Her defense mechanism prevents her from seeing the dangerous reality she lives in, because the truth would be psychologically devastating. Or the man who uses projection to deal with his own infidelity, becoming pathologically jealous and constantly accusing his partner of betrayal, unable to recognize his own impulses. The power to see what others ignore begins with the courage to dismantle your own defense mechanisms, to look honestly at the truths you have been avoiding. This requires a willingness to face temporary discomfort in exchange for lasting clarity. Ask yourself, what truths about my life have I been avoiding facing? What patterns of behavior do I continue to justify, even knowing deep down that they are harmful? This is one of the most difficult journeys you will undertake, but also the most liberating. When you can see beyond your own defense mechanisms, you gain a clarity of perception that few people achieve in their entire lifetime. Number 3. Transference as the key to deciphering dysfunctional relationships. Freud identified a fascinating phenomenon that he called transference, in which we unconsciously project feelings, expectations, and patterns from past relationships, especially from childhood, into our current relationships. This process happens completely outside our consciousness, creating intense and seemingly irrational emotional reactions to people in the present based on experiences with figures from the past. Have you ever felt an inexplicable aversion to a new boss before even significantly interacting with them? Or found yourself inexplicably attracted to someone who, objectively, showed clear signs of being harmful to you? Or perhaps noticed that you repeat the same dysfunctional patterns in your romantic relationships, always attracted to the same type of person, even when that type consistently hurts you? This is transference in action. A young teacher notices that she feels disproportionate irritation whenever a particular student raises her hand in class. The student is polite and her questions are relevant, but something about her awakens irrational anger in the teacher. Reflecting deeply on this reaction, she realizes that the student unconsciously reminds her of a cousin who received all the attention and approval in her family during childhood, while she felt invisible and inadequate. Without realizing it, she is transferring old feelings onto a current relationship, completely distorting her perception of the student. The power of transference to distort our perception of reality is immense. People who seem to see clearly in so many areas of life can be completely blind when it comes to certain relationships, precisely because transference is operating outside their consciousness. By understanding and identifying your own patterns of transference, you acquire a powerful tool to see your relationships with greater clarity. Ask yourself, is this intense emotional reaction really about this specific person in the present, or am I reliving feelings from a past relationship? When you begin to distinguish between your responses to the actual present and your reactions based on transferences from the past, your relationships transform. You become able to see people as they really are, not as characters in an old psychic drama that continues to repeat itself in your life. I want to pause for a moment and ask you, how many times have you felt that you see patterns and truths in situations that others around you seem completely unable to perceive? Perhaps you just recognized this pattern while I was talking about how Freud's unconscious allows us to capture hidden realities. I know this recognition can be painful, even frightening. Many people spend their entire lives feeling alienated by their ability to see beyond appearances, doubting their own perceptions because nobody else seems to share them. You are not alone in this experience of solitary clarity. I would like you to share your experience in the comments, not just for yourself, but because your account might be exactly what someone else needs to read today to feel they are not alone. Leave a comment with the phrase, "I see beyond when," and complete it with your personal experience. It could be something simple like, "I see beyond when I notice the contradictions between what people say and what they actually do," or any situation where you feel this unique ability to see what lies in the shadows. Each time we share these experiences, we validate each other and create a space where this gift no longer needs to be hidden or suppressed. And remember, recognizing your ability to see deeply is already the first step to consciously using it as a tool for personal transformation. Let's create together a space where we can openly talk about this heightened perception that many of us possess, but rarely manage to express without being misunderstood. Number 4. Dreams as coded messages from your unconscious. One of Freud's most revolutionary contributions was his interpretation of dreams, which he described as the royal road to the unconscious. Before Freud, dreams were often considered insignificant, random residues of brain activity during sleep. He proposed that they are, in fact, deeply meaningful communications from your unconscious, expressing in symbolic language desires, fears, and insights that your conscious mind is not ready to recognize directly. Have you ever had a disturbing dream that continued to haunt you for days, with the feeling that it contained an important message you couldn't decipher? Or perhaps a recurring dream that seemed to be trying to communicate something urgent about your life? Your dreams are not accidents or coincidences, but your unconscious trying to show you truths that your conscious mind is resisting or unable to see on its own. Consider the case of a man who repeatedly dreamed of being in a speeding car, unable to reach the pedals or steering wheel. The out-of-control car eventually crashed, and he would wake up in panic. This recurring dream began precisely when he was promoted to a position of great responsibility at work. His unconscious was communicating through dream symbolism what he was not allowing himself to recognize consciously. That he felt completely out of control in his new role, unable to drive his career safely, anticipating disaster. Once he understood the message of his dream, he could consciously admit his fears and seek the necessary support and guidance, avoiding the accident his unconscious predicted. Learning to pay attention to and decipher your own dreams is like acquiring a superpower of self-knowledge. Start by keeping a dream journal, noting them immediately upon waking before they escape your memory. Look for patterns, recurring symbols, and intense emotions. Ask yourself, if this dream were a message about my current life, what would it be trying to tell me? Often, the answers that emerge are profound insights that your unconscious is trying to share with you. Truths about your life that part of you already knows, but your conscious mind has been avoiding recognizing. Number 5. Freudian slips and how they reveal your hidden truths. Freud discovered that small accidents of daily life, such as forgetting things, slips of the tongue, lost or damaged objects, are not really accidental, but expressions of the unconscious breaking through the barriers of repression and manifesting in our behavior. He called these phenomena Freudian slips, or in German, Fehlleistungen, literally, faulty performances. These apparent errors are, in fact, perfect performances of the unconscious revealing truths we are trying to hide from ourselves. Have you ever called someone by the wrong name at a crucial moment? Or forgotten an important meeting that you secretly wanted to avoid? Have you repeatedly lost an object associated with an emotionally charged person or event? Or made an accidental mistake that sabotaged something you consciously said you wanted? These are not just random oversights, but significant manifestations of your unconscious speaking through your actions. An executive consistently forgets the name of a new colleague during important meetings, calling him by the name of a former rival from college. What seems to be just an embarrassing social error is, in fact, his unconscious revealing that he perceives this new colleague as a similar threat. A woman who consciously claims to be happy in her relationship repeatedly loses or damages gifts given by her partner. Her unconscious is communicating the anger and dissatisfaction she is not allowing herself to consciously admit. By learning to recognize and interpret your own Freudian slips, you gain access to a deeper level of self-knowledge. When you make a seemingly random mistake, especially one that repeats, ask yourself, if this error were actually an expression of an unconscious feeling or desire, what would it be trying to communicate? The answer often reveals surprising truths about your desires, fears, and perceptions that you weren't allowing yourself to consciously recognize. Number 6. The Oedipus complex and how your first relationships shape all others. One of Freud's most controversial and frequently misunderstood theories is the Oedipus complex, which he considered universal in human psychological development. Beyond the literal interpretation that so shocked Victorian society of his time, the concept offers profound insights into how our first family relationships create unconscious models that influence all our adult relationships. The essence of this theory is that our initial interactions with our parental figures establish deeply rooted emotional patterns that we continue to repeat unconsciously in our romantic relationships, friendships, and even professional interactions. Have you ever wondered why you continue to be attracted to the same type of partner, even when that type consistently makes you unhappy? Or why you have intense and seemingly disproportionate emotional reactions to certain authority figures? Or even why certain relationship dynamics feel strangely familiar, as if you were reliving the same emotional drama repeatedly with different people? These patterns have their roots in the complex dynamics of your first family relationships. A woman who grew up with an emotionally distant father, from whom she longed for approval that she rarely received, repeatedly becomes involved with emotionally unavailable men in her adult life. Unconsciously, she is trying to rewrite the original script, hoping to finally receive the love and validation she did not get in childhood. A man who had a controlling and invasive mother develops a pattern of feeling suffocated in relationships and sabotaging them as soon as intimacy deepens, reproducing the dynamics of his primordial relationship. Recognizing how these primordial patterns influence your current life is a crucial step to seeing beyond the illusions in your relationships. Ask yourself, what similarities exist between my current relationships and the dynamics of my family of origin? What old scripts am I unconsciously trying to rewrite? When you begin to identify these patterns, you gain the ability to consciously choose new ways of relating, instead of compulsively repeating the same emotional dramas from your childhood. Number 7. Libido, and how your vital energy seeks expression. Freud introduced the concept of libido as the psychic energy that drives all human behavior. While often associated only with sexuality, Freudian libido is much broader. It is the life force that seeks expression in all areas of our life. When this energy doesn't find healthy outlets, it manifests in physical symptoms, compulsive behaviors, or psychological suffering. Society teaches us from an early age to repress many of our natural impulses, to content ourselves with lives that often don't allow the full expression of our vital potential. As a result, many people feel a constant restlessness, a sense that something fundamental is missing in their lives, even when externally they appear to be successful. Have you ever felt this vague but persistent discontent? That feeling that, despite doing everything right according to social standards, something essential in you is not being nourished or expressed. Or perhaps you've experienced periods of intense creative energy that, when blocked or repressed, transformed into anxiety, depression, or self-destructive behaviors. A talented artist follows the safe path of a corporate career to please his parents and meet social expectations. Years later, he develops unexplained physical symptoms, chronic insomnia, and episodes of severe anxiety. His libido, the creative energy that sought expression through art, found itself blocked and began to manifest as physical and psychological suffering. A woman who consistently represses her assertiveness and anger to maintain a facade of agreeableness develops severe eating compulsions. The energy that should be directed towards establishing healthy boundaries and expressing her needs finds a distorted outlet through compulsive behavior with food. Learning to recognize, honor, and find healthy expressions for your vital energy is fundamental to your psychological and physical well-being. Ask yourself, what aspects of my essential nature have I repressed to conform to external expectations? What authentic desires have I denied? When you begin to identify the ways you have blocked your own vital energy, you can make conscious choices to realign your external life with your deepest internal needs, allowing your libido to find healthy and satisfying expressions. Number 8. The vital importance of childhood in forming who you are today. One of Freud's most enduring contributions to our understanding of the human mind was his recognition of the crucial role of childhood experiences in the formation of adult personality. Before Freud, childhood was largely considered an insignificant prelude to the real life that began in adulthood. He revealed that, in fact, our earliest experiences create the foundations of our psychic structure, profoundly influencing who we become. The first years of life, when we are most vulnerable and impressionable, leave impressions that shape our perceptions, emotional reactions, and relationship patterns throughout life. Most people have little awareness of how their automatic responses to the current world are shaped by experiences they had long before they developed explicit verbal memories. Have you ever wondered why certain triggers evoke intense and seemingly disproportionate emotional reactions in you? Or why certain situations awaken a level of anxiety that seems irrational even to you? Or even why certain patterns of self-destructive behavior seem almost impossible to break, despite your best intentions and efforts? The roots of these responses are often buried in childhood experiences that you may not even consciously remember. A successful executive who grew up with extremely critical parents develops a relentless pursuit of perfection and an inability to celebrate her achievements, always focused on the next goal. The fear of failure and criticism that shaped her childhood continues to drive her adult behavior, even when there is no one criticizing her anymore except herself. A man who experienced emotional abandonment in early childhood develops a pattern of constantly testing his relationships and creating crises to verify if people really care about him, unconsciously recreating the original trauma in the hope of finally obtaining a different outcome. Understanding how your childhood experiences shaped who you are today is fundamental to gaining psychological freedom. Ask yourself, what messages did I receive during my childhood about my worth, about what was safe to feel or express, about what was necessary to be loved? When you begin to connect your current patterns to their origins in childhood, you gain the ability to choose new responses based on present reality, instead of continuing to react automatically from old conditionings. Number 9. The transformative power of self-awareness through analysis of your own patterns. Freud developed psychoanalysis as a method to bring the content of the unconscious into consciousness, allowing people to understand the hidden forces that directed their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Although traditional psychoanalytic therapy is only one approach among many today, Freud's fundamental principle remains revolutionary. True self-knowledge requires a courageous exploration of the parts of ourselves we prefer to keep in the shadows. Most people spend their lives avoiding this kind of deep self-analysis, preferring to maintain a comfortable but incomplete view of themselves. As a result, they continue to repeat the same painful patterns, making the same self-destructive decisions and experiencing the same sufferings without understanding the unconscious forces driving this cycle. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "Why does this always happen to me?" Or "How could I make the same mistake again?" These moments of frustration are opportunities for deeper investigation, invitations to look beyond superficial behavior and discover the unconscious patterns at work. A man notices that all his romantic relationships follow the same arc: intense initial passion, followed by growing discomfort with intimacy, culminating in sabotage of the relationship through behaviors that drive away the partner. In honestly analyzing this pattern, he discovers a deep fear of abandonment originating in traumatic childhood experiences. Paradoxically, he abandons others first, as an unconscious strategy to avoid being abandoned, recreating the original trauma he so fears. A woman notices that she consistently finds herself in toxic work environments, with abusive bosses who make her feel inadequate and powerless. In examining this recurring pattern, she recognizes that she is unconsciously seeking situations that replicate the dynamics of her family of origin, where she was never good enough in the eyes of her critical father. The path to psychological freedom begins with the willingness to examine your own patterns with honesty and compassion. Ask yourself, what painful situations do I seem to create or attract repeatedly in my life? What unconscious benefit might I be getting from maintaining this seemingly self-destructive pattern? This kind of self-analysis is not easy, but it is incredibly liberating. When you understand the unconscious forces that have been driving your behaviors, you gain the ability to make truly free choices for the first time. Number 10. The integration of shadows as a path to wholeness. One of Freud's most profound insights, later elaborated by his disciple Carl Jung, is that we become psychologically whole, not by eliminating or suppressing the unacceptable parts of ourselves, but by recognizing and consciously integrating them. Freud called this process making the unconscious conscious. Most human psychological suffering comes not from having shadow aspects, but from our tireless attempt to deny them and keep them repressed, which requires an enormous amount of psychic energy and inevitably fails, with the repressed material leaking out in distorted and often destructive ways. Society teaches us to create an artificial division within ourselves, the acceptable self that we show to the world, and the unacceptable self that we try to hide even from ourselves. This internal division is the source of much of our anxiety, depression, compulsive behaviors, and dysfunctional relationships. Have you ever experienced a sense of exhaustion from maintaining a facade, a depletion that comes from constantly trying to appear happier, calmer, more generous, or less angry than you really feel? Or perhaps you've noticed how certain unacceptable aspects of your personality emerge at the most inopportune moments, despite your best efforts to contain them. This is the inevitable consequence of internal division. A man who strongly identifies as rational and in control rigorously represses any expression of irrational emotions such as anger, sadness, or fear. This repression works superficially for years until he begins to develop seemingly inexplicable panic attacks. The denied emotions did not disappear. They just found an alternative outlet. A woman who internalized the cultural message that good girls don't feel anger develops an excessively pleasant and self-sacrificing personality. Her repressed anger manifests in periodic disproportionate outbursts over minor triggers, leaving her confused and ashamed, or in physical symptoms such as chronic headaches and digestive problems. The path to true psychological health is not through the elimination of our shadows, but through their conscious integration. Ask yourself, what aspects of my personality have I been trying to deny or hide? What emotions or desires do I consider unacceptable in myself? When you begin to recognize and accept all parts of yourself, even those that don't fit your idealized self-image, the energy that was previously wasted in repression becomes available for a fuller and more authentic life. You become more complete, more real, and paradoxically, more capable of consciously choosing your behavior, instead of being controlled by repressed forces that eventually find expression in distorted ways. Throughout this video, we've explored how Sigmund Freud's revolutionary discoveries can help you develop and refine your unique ability to see what others ignore. We discussed how your unconscious functions as a secret ally in decoding hidden reality, how defense mechanisms can prevent you from seeing the truth, and how transference distorts your perception in relationships. We explored the power of dreams as coded messages from your unconscious, and how Freudian slips reveal truths you try to hide from yourself. We saw how the Oedipus complex in your first relationships shape all others, how your vital energy seeks expression, and the vital importance of childhood in forming who you are today. Finally, we discussed the transformative power of self-awareness and how integrating your shadows is the path to psychological wholeness. What do all these ideas have in common? They offer tools to refine that extraordinary ability you possess to see beyond appearances, beyond comfortable illusions, beyond the collective denials that keep most people trapped in patterns of unnecessary suffering. This capacity to see deeply is not a curse, as you may have felt in moments when your perceptions isolated you from others. It is, in fact, your greatest gift. And now that you understand the psychological mechanisms behind this capacity, you can use it with greater precision and purpose. The question I leave you with is, now that you can see what others don't see, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you use this clarity to transform your own life, freeing yourself from unconscious patterns that no longer serve your growth? Will you share this vision with others who are ready to awaken from their comfortable illusions? The choice is yours, and the possibilities are endless. If you've ever felt misunderstood for seeing truths that others can't or won't see, if you've ever doubted your own perceptions because no one else seemed to validate them, if you've ever felt the weight of solitary clarity, you are not alone in this journey. Sigmund Freud understood that the ability to see beyond appearances, to see the unconscious forces that shape our behavior, is both a rare gift and a constant challenge. This is an invitation to continue this exploration together. By subscribing to this channel, you're not just receiving more videos, you're connecting to a community of people who, like you, seek a deeper understanding of the human mind and reality beyond appearances. Each week, I share practical tools based on Freud's revolutionary discoveries, adapted for the unique challenges of navigating a world where most prefer comfortable illusion to uncomfortable truth. I don't promise easy answers or instant solutions, but rather a safe space to explore the truths you already intuit, but perhaps have never found words to express. If this content resonated with something inside you, if you felt that deep recognition that comes from finally finding words for experiences you thought were inexpressible, that small gesture of subscribing can be the first step of a transformative journey. And remember, each new understanding you gain about the nature of the human mind is a tool you can use to navigate the world with greater clarity and purpose. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue to explore together the fascinating territory of the unconscious mind and its power to reveal what remains hidden to most. If this video brought any valuable insight to you, leave your like, share it with someone you feel could benefit from this perspective, and comment on your own experience of seeing what others ignore. Your voice is important in this conversation,